Hello and welcome to yet another audio review. War in my country still rages on, but I'm trying to make some reviews in order to distract myself from that horror. Anyway, today I want to tell you about the IMR Dark Matter, interesting in-ear monitor that I received right before the war. And actually I received the second flagship model from the IMR Pro line. I received Avalon, and it was delivered a few weeks ago during the war. So glory to Ukrainian post service, they still managed to deliver parcels, at least at some regions. And if you're following my reviews for some time, you probably know that for me IMR is more than a regular company, because I like their approach, I like their constant willing to experiment, I like their sound, and it's always interesting to hear something new from them. And Dark Matter was the first more affordable model of their new Pro line. It's a dual driver model with unusual setup. So here used 11mm carbon nanotube ADLC dynamic driver, amorphous diamond-like carbon or something like that, if I remember this abbreviation right. And second 6mm carbon nanotube driver is a all second dynamic driver that helps first one deliver crisp treble and fuller mid-range, but at the same time that driver stated as a conduction driver, if I understood right from some disassembly explanation on the Hi-Fi. Second small driver is connected to the shell of the earpiece to transmit vibration not only via sound tube but also with the help of the shell. So it's something like in between the dynamic driver and actual bone conduction drivers that are getting more and more popularity. Maybe I'm wrong and I got this wrong, so I'm not saying that it's an exact explanation, that's how I understood that. And also here, of course, utilized the IMR signature sound tuning system. Price is £580, but IMR always have different sales, discount codes for members and so on. And if I understood right, for £580 it's a version with just a single cable. But I've got a few versions that was sold during the first pre-order, and actually I have 3 cables. And as usual, IMR have limited runs of all their models, so high probability then that when I release this review, this model will already be sold out, because they have a lot of new models announced, both in affordable and more high-end segment, including some new unusual drivers, but I'm not sure will I have an opportunity to test them or not. But today let's focus on the positive side. I have Dark Matter and I have Avalon, so let's have a closer look. In terms of package, as you can see, it's an almost traditional IMR case, but now they have a version with embossed logo instead of that rubber sticker here. But it's still, in my opinion, the best way of packing in-ear monitors, because it's really convenient. Inside here is the manual. The most interesting part of this manual is this description of sound tuning system and some suggested combinations of filters. And with this ProLine, IMR offered that first customers will have some new type of sound tuning system, but it was not available yet, so they decided to ship it without that sound tuning system, and promised that they will send it to customers later. And also a metal plate with a unique number. And here you get set of tips. It's pretty traditional, 3 pair of single flanges, 2 pair of foams and pair of double flanges. Set of tips, so they are 2 level, I will show you later. You can adjust two parts of this filter. Lower one is responsible for low frequencies and upper one is for mids and treble. 6 versions of upper and mids and 8 versions of bass, so 48 versions of sound tuning. Also you get 6.3mm adapter, and here were earpieces themselves. A pretty pleasant change in the accessory set is that now IMR gave this big nice leather storage case, because a lot of people were complaining that this one is not convenient for everyday carry, but this one is still a bit big, but step towards a new, more compact design. Inside you'll get 3 cables, 3.5mm, 2.5mm and 4.4mm, so they, instead of creating different type of swappable jacks, they decided just to give different cable options, and a leather stripe for cable organizing. Let's move it back, move it aside, and let's talk about the design. And it's a pretty traditional. After some experiments with the design, IMR decided to go back, because customers said that they liked previous design more. Now, as you can see, to the design of the shells they've added nice gold plate, mentioning that it's a pro line. Good combination of black and gold. On the bottom side here is a vent hole for pressure relief and for sound tuning to provide the optimal performance. And of course they made of aluminum, CNC machined, and build quality is really good. I like this industrial aesthetics, I like the screws, I like everything about their build, and my ears are really accommodated to this fit. I'm a long time IMR RA user, and this model fit my ears also really well. But of course it's a matter of your ears. I've read some complaints about fit, but for me it's really comfortable. Sound isolation is about average. It will be enough for noisy street or for public transport, but in really noisy environment probably you can prefer something with deeper fit. And here is the spouts. They also serve as sound filters. You can unscrew only the top part and replace it, or you can unscrew the whole filter and also swap it. As you can see, there is a rubber rings for better fit. Screws are really precise and gives a pleasant feel of screwing and unscrewing. And also professional IMR users also noticed that new version got new cables. Actually, I really like the previous generation of cables, and new one is a bit stiffer for me. It's average in terms of softness, not super soft, but definitely not the hardest one I've tested, and probably it gives better sound, but to be honest, I didn't do experiments with swapping cables. Here I used 2-pin connectors with slightly recessed sockets, so if you'd like to experiment with third-party cables, you'll easily find some proper options. There are ear hooks to reduce microphonic effect, and here is cable itself, dark gray in color with interesting shine in the PVC insulation. Here is the splitter with chin slider, and after splitter it goes just loosely twisted down to the straight jack. So new cable is like, looks okay, works okay, but I'd like it to be a bit softer in general. But besides that, as you can see, in terms of accessories, build quality and stuff, everything is done really well. And of course about the sound, as usual when it comes to IMR earphones, there are a few common rules that still true for this model too. First, they require a pretty long burn-in. Not sure about 300 hours mentioned on the official site, but at least 100 hours is definitely required. And I know that many people are skeptical about the burn-in for earphones, and I'm also among the skeptics, but for the IMR models it definitely changes the sound in a noticeable way. So if you'll get something from IMR, just give 100 hours of burn-in and then you can start some experiments. And the second necessary thing, of course, is you need to experiment with filters. I really encourage you not try to Google some combinations, not ask for advice, just try different options yourself. Of course, trying all 48 options is pretty complicated, but it's pretty simple. First take black filters for top and then select the amount of low frequencies you'd like to achieve swapping bottom filters. And then on top of that base just select the proper top filters. It's a shorter way of finding what you like. And also you can try one step in both sides in terms of low frequencies. But I really recommend you doing that because you know it's highly likely that you'll find some option that was not mentioned anywhere, but you like it more. Because trying different set of filters for IMR is essential part of the experience. And in terms of sound, these earpieces appeared to be really engaging. So IMR sound is also engaging. They're trying to create models with slightly boosted dynamics, emotions and so on. But this one is really superb. It's a bit step aside from the monitoring audiophilic perspective towards pure fun and joy. Really nice, impactful bass, but at the same time not really well controlled and not shadowing the rest. Boosted emotions and slightly highlighted treble, giving you tons of fun. Combined with a great stage, giving a really great listening experience. And let's talk about everything step by step. So, I already almost described bass. It goes really deep, but at the same time deep bass not dominating here, so it's not a typical bass head model, but it's for those who like low frequencies but don't want them to dominate over the rest of sonic spectrum. Really good impact, really pretty tight bass. Of course you can get more bass or less depending on your taste with filters, but in general it's not a bass heavy model where low frequencies dominating over the rest of spectrum. And at the same time it's a really good dynamic drivers with great resolution and speed and properly acoustically dampened to provide a nice level of detailization and small nuances. So absolutely universal both with electronic music and at the same time with natural instruments. They will give you great body and sense of realism. But of course more enjoyable they will be on the genres where you'll get noticeable low frequencies. So a pretty obvious example, it's Massive Attack, Exchange. I like this album and for me it's a benchmark for low frequencies because the lows here are really complex, multi-layered, fun and engaging, and this model delivers them really well. And second example, usually I'm trying to select something with more natural low frequencies, but this time I decided to go for even more engaging lows, and it's a Billie Jean by Michael Jackson, and combined with a great stage of these earphones, it gave me shivers, and most definitely will give them to you, because that drum kicks, then appears that great bass line, then some shakers at right ear, then vocal, and then main part with that interesting rhythm section, and all that tiny nuances that this track is filled of, some orchestral parts, some interesting samples appear, disappear, greatly rendered vocals, so really engaging sound. Over-engaging, so slightly even more engaging than it's in real life, but really fun and pleasant to listen. And mid frequencies, actually they definitely not trying to be focused on the micro contrast. Resolution is good, of course, but it's dynamic driver good. It won't try to focus you on the small nuances and details. Instead, it will boost dynamics, it will boost emotions, and what I like here, it perfectly renders weight. Maybe it's because of that bone conducting driver partially, but really sense of weight and body for both for vocal and instruments is really great here. Presence area is slightly boosted, giving really fun, engaging sound for female vocal, but thanks to the good weight distribution, male vocals also sound full-bodied and emotional. Of course, don't expect here like balanced armature resolution and focus on the micro contrast, but of course you won't miss any details, and thanks to pretty forward nature of these earphones, they will even highlight that small nuances, but not by the focus on them, but by moving them closer to you, so they boosting dynamics, not the micro contrast but dynamics. And also another strong part of this earphones, it's a stage. It's really big and three-dimensional, so for me it's great and close to flagship level. And as a first example, come on, switch, it's Jethro Tull Locomotive Breeze. Great keyboard intro at the beginning, and then that main part that where rhythm section is trying to imitate the locomotive, and the vocal and all that stuff sounds really great, engaging and emotional thanks to the nature of these earpieces. And second example, it's Metallica, Unforgiven, that trumpet at the beginning and then that guitar part, heavy parts, vocal, so you can if you believe me that this model is really emotional and forward, you can also understand how this track sounds with them. Really forward, really heavy when it's necessary, romantic when it should be, so engaging and fun. Maybe I'm saying engaging, fun, emotional lot of times, but that's how they sound, so my English unfortunately is not that rich to give you a lot of synonyms here. And treble, it's slightly boosted, but it's not ceramic drivers that IMR used in the past, not bone conduction motors, not electrostats. It's just a good detailed dynamic drivers. It's boosted, but in terms of attacks and decays, they are slightly slower than they should be, giving a bit of additional weight for the treble area. Treble extension is slightly above average, not super extended, but still all overtones are present here. Layering is normal, not great, but normal, so if you're looking for great layering, they have Avalon with additional drivers for this purpose. But at the same time, this treble fits perfectly into the representation of these earphones, delivering good amount of overtones and giving you great sense of realism. And first track is my benchmark for the treble. It's Englishman in New York by Sting. Actually, you know, I like this track, but only few months ago I realized how many genres mixed in this track, because you listen to it, it's really fun and the tune is great, but when you starting to listen to it, you getting like 5-10 genres in one track, and probably it's because Sting just wanted to imitate how different is New York itself, and actually he definitely managed to do that. And as usual, great treble that these earphones plays pretty well. And second example, it's Layla Unplugged by Eric Clapton. Also great performance and track that doesn't require any words from my side, but I really like that sense of audience here, and these earphones delivers it nicely. Speaking about the sources, they require something of good level, so probably upper mid or lower top segment player would be a plus for them. and they have have extra space for scaling with source. In terms of material, they require something good recorded, but not super audiophilic, not super nitpicking, so not absolutely perfection required here. And to be honest, I didn't do a lot of comparisons because this model probably, you know, for me in my head, they are closer to IMR Semper. Semper also wanted to also sounded really engaging and trying to be forward, emotional with big stage. So this model is like mini Semper in terms of representation. And for example, Ra, it's more natural, it's more balanced, more polite in terms of sound. Also, of course, it delivers great bass, emotions, but it's not highlighting them as much as this model do. And for example, Alan and other two previous models, they have slightly slower low frequencies with a bit warmer mids comparing to this model. And actually, to be honest, I don't see much sense in comparing with any other models by Fio, Ibasso, I don't know, Campfire, whoever, because for me IMR stands aside, and actually IMR managed to build a fan club of those who like IMR sound and waiting for new models. And actually I'm waiting for new models too. I really hope that I will have a chance to try them, to audition them, to enjoy new creations of IMR, and I wish everyone peace, prosperity. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a nice day.